Well, this week we wrap up our Made Marvelous sermon series, a whole month-long effort. You guys have sent great pictures. We've had them all over social media with your Made Marvelous moments. And that's been really fun to see you at your authentic self as you see yourself. And this morning, we end it with none other than a superhero movie. Who's seen Wonder Woman? A good bunch. Good job, church. A lot of folks have seen Wonder Woman. So, full disclosure, I am not a comic book superhero kind of girl. This is not my regular sort of gig. But I took a small girl before the first day of school to see Wonder Woman, because that's what you do. So I have no understanding of a reference point to tell you that this they really got right, that it's similar in a good way to the comic book, or that as our assistant in the office, Kay, who really is a comic book person, and she had all the little teeny tiny things that weren't quite right or authentic or real, and I just nodded because I had no idea what she was talking about. And so, despite all of that, I went sort of as homework and in motherly obligation. Homework because when we laid out this sermon series, Wonder Woman was one of the stories. And lo and behold, I discovered I loved this movie. I loved this movie so much that at the end of the movie, I was sitting there while the credits were rolling with big fat tears streaming down my face. It's that good. So for those of you who are kind of like me and not comic book folks and don't really know much about the backstory of Wonder Woman, here it is in Cliff Notes version, like less than Cliff Notes version. This is the story of Diana Prince. And Prince is sort of an added name. You see, Diana is the daughter of the queen of the Amazon warrior women. She has lived a very sheltered life behind this cloud of something. On this little island where these Amazon warrior women make their home, and they have been relatively undisturbed for a pretty long time until Steve shows up. Steve, who is the American intelligence officer working for the British military during World War I. Steve's plane crashes through this cloud fog of whatever, protecting the island of the Amazon warrior women, and Diana has to save his life. Fast forward about 40 minutes through the movie, and Diana and Steve head back to Europe to save the world. Now, you don't try to stress about the details. It's a comic book movie, guy. Just go with me here. They go back from their little island to Europe to save the world. And together, Steve and Diana gather a hot mess of mercenary types, this merry band of mercenaries. And one of their colleagues is the guy on the far right on your screen, the little guy who's actually standing up on something. That's Charlie. And Charlie is the best sniper around. I know it doesn't look like these are the people who saved the First World War, but they did. Surprise. At one point, Wonder Woman and her merry band of mercenaries are trying to liberate a small French village when Charlie is called upon for his sniper skills to take out another sniper that has been discovered high in the bell tower. And Charlie gets ready, and they're all hollering at Charlie to take the shot. And the camera focuses in, and Charlie sets his aim, and it focuses in on Charlie's great trigger finger. Nothing. Charlie freezes. and nothing happens. This is why he was brought along with the merry band of mercenaries, right? It's for his fast trigger figure and his impeccable eye. Well, never mind. Diana saves the day and victory is won and everyone celebrates. And later that evening, there is a party. And of course, there's adult beverage and refreshments and dancing and singing and piano playing. And lo and behold, it is Charlie seated at the piano in the bar, singing for the whole town to enjoy. And Steve says to Diana, I haven't heard him sing in years. The next morning, as they head out for the next step of their mission, Charlie decides he can't go on. He's failed them, you see. And he's no longer useful to this group, to his community, because, see, Charlie thinks his value and his worth are in his military and mercenary skills. And when that fails him and fails the group, he sees himself as a failure and no longer worth the trouble. And even with Charlie's quick trigger finger and his impeccable line of sight, Diana sees perhaps even better. Perhaps not better, just in a different way. When Charlie says he can't continue and go on with them to the next step of the journey, Diana stops him and she says, Charlie, wait. You can't go, Charlie. Who will sing for us, Charlie? Who will sing for us? You see, Diana reminded Charlie and the merry band of mercenaries and we, the audience, that Charlie is more than what people see on the outside. He is more than what the culture sees as being valuable. Charlie's true self and his true gifts, when he uses them, when he opens himself up through vulnerability, that's when he brings the most to the situation and to the gathered community. Of course, afterwards, as I was writing this, I thought, well, that's true for the great Diana, Prince Wonder Woman as well. Everyone sees her for her fancy costume and her warrior skills. And time again in this movie, Diana saves people with a different weapon. Her weapon of being a wisdom woman. Her ability to see people in a different way. And as I thought about that, I thought back to a trailer that had been played right before the beginning of Wonder Woman for another superhero movie called The Justice League. And it's another superhero movie that involves superheroes that I didn't even know existed until I saw the trailer. But there was a line that really caught my attention. And it was about Superman. And maybe it's about Superman, but maybe it's about superheroes in general. And this voice comes through the speakers over the screen, and it says, Superman didn't just save people. He helped them see the best part of themselves. Of course, now I have to go see another superhero movie. Superman didn't just save people. He helped them see the best parts of themselves. And that's what Diana did for Charlie. Helped him to see his best self more than just what other people saw. Diana saw what Charlie couldn't and named it for him. And I wonder how many times in our lives when things change and the way we see ourselves in the world changes and we don't quite know who that makes us or what to do with ourselves anymore. I think about friends of mine right now who are empty nesters for the first time as their youngest of 3 daughters has taken off for Mizzou. And she says, "The house is really quiet, Shanna." Yes, it is. Or retirees who have spent their whole life and their whole career being wrapped up in being whatever it is that their job has wrapped them up in, and suddenly they don't have that anymore, and they're sitting at the kitchen table at 9 o'clock with their coffee going, "Well, now what do I do?" I think about when I was in college athletics, and you would have college kids who would come to campus as freshmen, and they had been the premier athlete, and suddenly they were one of a whole lot of really great athletes. Or they have to figure out how just to be a student, or just to be another great voice in the choir, or another one of many valedictorians sitting behind the desk. We do it all throughout our life, you see, but I wonder how often do we really open ourselves up in a real, authentic, vulnerable, one might say, way, and inviting others in to help us and to point us towards that best self? Thinking about a small group activity that I know we've done at camp, but I know it gets done at lots of other places, and it's called the hot seat. And you're all sitting in chairs in a circle, and then there's one circle in the center, right? And we put Bill in the one seat in the center, and we're all going to go around, each and every one of us, and we're going to say the one thing that for us we think is Bill's best gift. The thing that we want Bill to know that we love and value about him. And let me tell you, it's really hard to sit in that hot seat and have people tell you really wonderful things about you. You may think, "Oh, that really sounds easy." It's hard. It's really hard to hear. And sometimes I think it takes those really hard moments of really listening to other people so that we can see a side of ourselves that maybe we'd not noticed before or not wanted to recognize before. A side that perhaps is only revealed in uncomfortable moments. Or, like Charlie, discovered in moments of brokenness. Charlie finds his best self, his #made marvelous self in his brokenness. He finds strength in his moment of weakness. His vulnerability leads to greater understanding. And that was not the takeaway I thought I was going to get from a superhero movie. I thought I was going to preach about Diana Prince and Wonder Woman. But in that moment of brokenness, it took another member of the beloved community to raise up, to draw out, to name Charlie's best self. And I don't know why that brokenness is so hard for us to share with people. I mean, I know why, of course, but this is a familiar story, right? Brokenness that might just save us. It's the gospel story, right? It's the story of our faith. It's the story of the one that we profess to follow, offering up a broken self to know oneself in a new way. This hymn we opened with was probably new to most of you, but I used it because I love this. Here. Here we nurture and encourage. Here we foster deep communion and our inner selves reveal. Here we nurture and encourage as we share this common meal. How often do we depend on our superhero bracelets to protect us from the bullets of life that come to us? And that sometimes if we would just open ourselves up a little bit in moments of brokenness and vulnerability, another might come along to nurture and encourage and raise us up, and maybe even to save us. That's community. That's why we do life in community. May it be so. May it be so for us, superheroes, one and all.